Heard a lot about this preseason game, so I'm excited to be a part of it for the first time. We'll be the visiting team, so we got to figure out, just as I figured out, where we go for the home games, now you got to figure out where you are for a visiting team. So that's a lot to keep track of. But we're looking forward to it and can't wait for the game. What questions you have?
Back to yesterday with Calvin, just how tough is that to see and how much of an impact does that make on that team?
Well, it's definitely impactful to our team because he was playing so well. He was doing a great job across the board, offense and special teams. He had definitely carved out a role for us on our team, and then to see that happen, especially just a non-contact type of an injury, it's just kind of shocking to see. So you feel bad for him. I mean, that's the biggest thing. He and I were texting last night and even more this morning. So I think he's in a better place now than he was yesterday. But it's going to be a long road back, but he'll get back. He'll get back, and we'll be behind him the whole way.
What does that do now for the wide receiver room?
It just means that the next guy steps up and fills that role. So we have to readjust. The roles have to be filled. Those jobs have to be done, and the next person will do them.
What have you seen from Odell lately? It seems like he's been making more catches and plays in practice.
Yeah, I think I think Odell's had a good camp, but he's had I would say his best week of camp has come this week. He's looked good and made numerous plays, and just like you saw even today, made numerous plays, so he's doing well.
How long were those longest field goals today?
The longest one that they didn't make was 69. That was the NFL record. Is that the NFL record, 69? I think it is now, right? You should know that. A preseason game last week. So the regular season might be 67? 68, okay. So they wanted to do that, but to see them both make, 60-plus yarders in the contest was pretty fun.
We saw Theo out there in the shorts and a hoodie. Looked to be limping a little bit. How's he doing?
Limping a little bit? God, I hope not. His shoulder was what was hurt. He wasn't walking on his hands, I don't think. It's like, if he's limping, that would be news. Maybe he's sore from his workout. Maybe he did legs today. It was a workout, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be good. He'll be ready. So that was good news for us.
Shelby Harris, haven't seen him do much this week. What's going on with him?
Yeah, we're just managing him right now. He's going to be fine. He'll be ready to go.
Did Malik end early? You think he came off early? Was that part of it?
I don't think so. No. I don't think so. He was right there with those guys, their period. Yeah.
Where do you stand on Jackson playing on Friday?
I think I'm going to stand consistently with the procedure that we've been following all through training camp. I'll just leave it up in the air right now. That's so disappointing. I see a disappointment on your face. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we're at. There would be things to be gained for those guys to play defensively as well, from a communication standpoint. But there's risk. It's just the balancing act of what we gain the most from with the least amount of risk. That's what we got to figure out.
If they don't play, it would be almost a month between when they played in the preseason to the regular season. How do you factor that into the equation?
Well, that's a big factor. I think that's exactly right. I mean, that is the factor. That's the thing that, I don't know if concern's the right word because a lot of teams do it, but you haven't played in the game. Now we're going to go play in a game under the lights, high stakes, it's going to be loud. All those things are going to factor in, and they haven't been out there in that setting for a while, and the setting they were in isn't anything like the one they're going to be in either. So that, to me, is your point, is exactly right. That is the factor.
A lot of teams might do it, but also those teams might not be installing new schemes, trying to do new stuff. Like, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it too. I agree with you. That's what we got to figure out and decide.
Have you found that one series, I mean, I think you think every series is meaningful, but one series of 7 or 8 plays, is it meaningful, or is risk reward, or is it like, 7 plays is not going to do anything in the long term?
I mean, to me, this is exactly why the New York media has the great reputation that it does, because these are the exact things that we're considering. And that's the other side of the argument now. How much are you going to play them? In the old days, they would be out there for 3 quarters in the third preseason game. This is the third preseason game without a fourth. They'd be out there for 3 quarters. You'd see those guys, Brady, Manning, all those guys were out there well into the third quarter, just for that reason. You don't see that ever anymore. So, how much is 6 plays, 10 plays? How much is that really worth? That's part of the whole balancing act.
Why do you think that's changed?
I don't know. Probably because of injuries. I mean, you get some injuries, and you just try to make the argument that you go to the season with your best players healthy. That's the most important thing. It's a 17-game season. It's a long season. Yes, you may not be as sharp as you're going to be a couple games in, but it's a long season, and the other team is in the same boat you're in. So all those things, I think, is probably why, and people have worked back towards trying to avoid the injuries.
John, going back to your answer about Malik, he did leave the fields before the situational period there. Was that part of the plan?
Yeah, no, no, it wasn't part of the plan, so I'll find out what was going on. I'm sure it's something with the trainer, I assume, so we'll find out. I was doing the practice. So. But he's not, there's no injury. We talked afterwards. We always get the injury report right after. There's no talk about Malik that way.
John, when Scat touches the ball, there's just like a different energy out there. Is that energy infectious for the whole team?
Well, I mean, Scat's great. He does bring a lot of energy. But he did get a 15-yard penalty at the end of practice. Did you notice that? So that's not infectious. Well, it is infectious actually. Infectious in the bad way, right? Like infectious disease type of thing. We don't want that. So we want it to be directed in a positive way.
With the guys who are on the line of a roster spot or not, how much does Friday's performance play into your decision making?
It plays into it, especially the guys who are in that we're not sure yet mode. I mean, stepping up in a game like that is what you're looking for, and I'm not going to say it's a ton of guys, it's not, but there are spots that are still up in the air. And you'd also say for other teams too, if someone plays really well and still doesn't make this roster, that's what the other teams are looking at. They're looking at the game tape, to decide if that's someone that would make them better. So our guys do understand that.
What's the right number of receivers on the final roster for you? Like, what's the ideal number? And
it's unanswerable.
If several guys don't play special teams, would you usually like to keep an extra guy there? Like, how do you sort of go through that process?
Right. It depends on all the other factors, So I'd rather have 10 guys on the roster, receivers, in an ideal world. That'd be the answer. But you couldn't do that and have enough DBs or running backs. So you have to factor that in. It's who the players are versus the players, and you got to kind of compare apples to oranges, so to speak. Special teams probably being the common denominator, for those last spots. Because you want to have great special teams too. So
that's generally your difference maker.
I think it's everybody's difference maker generally. Yeah.
John, we have a number of guys on the roster who haven't done a lot of winning in the NFL. Is it possible that learning how to win, even in the preseason, has a carryover, or is that not realistic?
I think it's a fair question. I don't know if it's a yes or no. But it's the thing that we wanted to do in that once we got in halftime, we had 17-3 lead, which could have been 20-3 or 24-3, which should have been that. Just looking at it from a team perspective, and we just wanted to make sure we came out in the second half and extended that lead, and kept extending the lead. So we had a goal in mind, because that's something as a team that you're going to want to do during the season. You're going to want to extend the lead when you have the lead, and make it as wide as you can. Not be trying to hold a lead. It's hard to hold a lead. You want to extend leads. So. And then we talked to our team about that at halftime, So we accomplished that, as a team. How does that affect us during the season? I'm not sure. But I'm glad they, responded to that call in a preseason game last week.